What is up, Gang Green Nation, Gotham City, all my Jets fans? This is Thomas Christopher from the Inner City Jets, and this is your weekly Jets Pulse. I do know that today's Jets Pulse is a little bit later than normal. Normally, we try to do it before noon. However, with the Jets joint practice with the New York Giants today running late, starting late, I wanted to make sure that I gave everybody who's watching, listening, seeing the most up-to-date information possible from today's practice. And today's practice is it's a running theme for the Jets throughout this training camp session. And that's the Jets defense is playing extremely well. It doesn't matter if it's the Washington Commanders, the Carolina Panthers, the Jets' first team defense, and even now against the New York Giants. The whole team is playing well, man. The pass rush is looking great. It was a who's who of today who's gotten pressure. Jermaine Johnson had a sack. Corner Williams, I believe it was Kinlaw as well. It's something that we want to see going forward, and especially without Hassan Reddick still yet to show up, it's something that the Jets need to have happen. Let's be honest. If this team cannot put pressure together without Reddick, it's going to be a long season. So it's great to see that they're actively getting pressure, getting to the quarterback, causing fits, causing quick throws, just making life difficult for opposing offenses and offensive linemen, because that's what these guys are getting paid for. There's a lot of opportunity here, and it's great seeing some of these guys step up, especially Jermaine Johnson going into year 3. We want to see him continue his ascension from what he left off on in year 2. Will McDonald, hey man, if he can just get by in a Bryce Huff kind of role, play primarily on passing downs, I would love that. I still don't think that McDonald is there as a run defender. I also would like to see him work on, a litany of more pass rushing moves. But his spin move is Dwight Freeney-esque. Come on, everybody saw the sack against the Carolina Panthers. That was Dwight Freeney-esque. Maybe he might not need more moves. We'll find out, though. As always, teams will adjust and go out throughout the season. But so far, he's been looking great in the downs that he's been in for passing situations. Quinnen Williams looked good today. Kinlaw looked good. Solomon Thomas, Leonard Floyd won a one-on-one in practice today. There's a lot of good things to like on the defensive front seven. Also, I want to give a shout out to Brandon Pockris. He works at Jets X Factor as well as with the league winners. He does a great job breaking down play-by-plays during practice for the New York Jets. He's almost at every single one. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter. It's at BPOK24, BPOK24. Just like, as I said, just a great play-by-play, really descriptive, lets you kind of know what's going on without having to be there. He's a great follow for Jets content. But anyways, moving on to the secondary. The secondary also had a great day, which is kind of what we want to see. I mean, it's everything's turning out great. Despite DJ Reed having some issues earlier in training camp, he put together a great performance today, man. He just put together a great performance, he made a sick pass breakup while covering Malik Neighbors on the field, and what might have led to a sack because of the coverage. Then he forces another incompletion along the sideline for 3rd down. And then on 4th down, he forced yet another incompletion per Brandon. And that's great. Like, for a guy who I know some people are worried about age maybe catching up to him. Cornerback is not an easy position to play. And a lot of people may be worried about him potentially being checked out in what might be his final season with the Jets. That's absurdity. The guy's a professional. He's a professional of professionals. Listen, DJ Reed is going to be great. We really like to see that. And it's something that, we need him to play well. God forbid anybody gets hurt and he has to step up to a bigger role, extended role. It's just great to see DJ Reed playing well. And not only did DJ Reed play well, but JBC played all right. Codrington had a great pass breakup on 4th down as well. And then we have Sauce Gardner doing some antics on an offensive play, but I'll get to that a little bit later. I really do want to talk about Codrington, though. It's great to see that he's performing well on defense after being, performing well on special teams too. I mean, come on, that's how he's getting his name out there. And that's how these guys stick to 53-man rosters. They have to be able to perform on special teams. And then from special teams, they can make the team and get opportunity outside of that. And we're starting to see Codrington do that. And that's really cool. I love seeing players that are under the radar or who don't have necessarily the opportunity of other players really getting their chance to shine. It's something that's great to see at an NFL level. because this is a lot of these kids' dreams. But now I want to go to the offensive side of the football because that's probably the most important. That's what everyone wants to hear about. Everyone wants to hear about Aaron Rodgers. The last time we saw Rodgers on the field, he had one of his worst practices, period. And yesterday after the Jets, had to cancel practice earlier in the summer for weather issues, the team sat most of a lot of veterans yesterday for the open fan practice, which I think is a little bit bush league by the Jets. I understand the rest day aspect of it. But with that being said, if you guys are having these players, if you're doing that to the fans and having these players sit, it's just kind of a big F you to the regular guys, the guys that can't afford, the men and women who can't afford season tickets. It's just you can have them out there. That's all I'll really say about that. But with that said, today seemed like a good practice for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Allen Lazard had a couple of good catches, but he also had a couple of really bad drops. One bad drop in particular that hit him right in the hands. Lazard just dropped it. No excuse there. The biggest issue with Lazard going forward, unfortunately, as I've stated numerous times, to the demise of Jet fans, or to the anguish of Jet fans, we're gonna have to deal with Allen Lazard being a thing in this offense for 2024. It's just going to be a thing. It's going to happen. Rodgers is going to feed him the ball. He trusts Rodgers. Rodgers trusts him. He's somehow Lazard continues to have his trust despite not playing particularly well at times. But it's really a confidence thing, man. If this guy can get his confidence going, he'll be a reliable wide receiver 3 on the team. But then we do need somebody to step up. One of those players who's obviously has continued to step up is Garrett Wilson, who just continued to have a crazy day today. At practice, just continuing to torch people. There's a chance this guy could go for more than 1,500 yards this season. And I truly do believe that. I don't think that's me being a homer by any means. I think the connection with Aaron Rodgers is going to be great. Listen, Garrett Wilson is the kind of player that football fans want to have on their team. He's a quiet guy off the field. During the offseason, you're not hearing about this guy getting drunk, doing stupid things. He's chilling. He's enjoying life. He's staying under the radar, which is what people want to see. And then on the football field, that's where you find the passion in the kid. Like we've seen him get, animated with Aaron Rodgers on the sideline multiple times. People, media has tried to blow it out of proportion, but that's the kind of energy you want to see out of your player. Like point blank period. If Garrett Wilson is not getting angry and trying to talk with Aaron Rodgers, then I am concerned about Garrett Wilson. If he's not doing that, because if he's not doing that, then it really doesn't matter to him as much as some people may believe. But we're being shown that this kid wants to win. He talked about, the last couple seasons with the Jets have been some of the worst in his entire career in terms of how he's felt, how it's made him feel. And it's hard to blame him. We've seen Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian. It's like a who's who, it's like a guessing game of who's going to throw him the ball. And now he finally has hopefully something established in not just Aaron Rodgers, but in Tyrod Taylor too. Like that's kind of the difference. If A-Rod was to ever go down, Tyrod Taylor is capable enough to where we shouldn't see a drop off, a huge drop off in production from Garrett Wilson. Now, from the offense, things get a little bit different, but at the same time, it's going to be leaps and bounds better than what we saw with Zach Wilson. We'll actually have a quarterback who understands how to run a play action scheme, who understand or play action concept. He understands how to go through his reads. He's not just looking one side of the field. He'll be able to move. And he still has the ability to escape the pocket and make plays with his legs. Not to mention he's been hyper accurate and hyper efficient in the twilight of his career, which is also great to see. The biggest concern, as always, with with fans and honestly with myself as well, is I want this team to play their starters in the preseason. But before I get there, I just also want to give one shout out to Brownley. He's had an up and down season, but he actually had a great game today, or a great practice session today, rather. Brownley's a weird guy because there's games where he looks amazing and practices where he looks amazing. And you're like, hey, this guy could easily be like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 without issue. And then there's games or practices, he just disappears. There's reps, he's just not, you wouldn't even notice him. So it's great to have him have a great bounce back session. He's starting to come along towards the end of the summer. So let's see if there's any indication of that continuing going forward. It'll be interesting to see if he sticks with the roster or if the Jets try to sneak him on the practice squad or what ends up going on with him. But he did have a beautiful long play today. It actually had Sauce Gardner, chastising the New York Giants a little bit while that was going on. So I thought that was really cool to see as well. Cool to hear about as well. But anyway, so moving on to the preseason game that's coming up, Jets Giants. I know most people don't care about the Snoopy Bowl. I know most Jet fans don't. I know most Giants fans don't. Like, the win gives us a little chest puff a little bit. But at the end of the day, all everyone wants is the players to be healthy. Nobody wants injuries going down. But one thing I know I do want to see some starters playing in this game. I know Aaron Rodgers has said that preseason games aren't real. They don't matter. It's not real football. I know that Robert Saleh has kind of brushed to the side any type of concerns about Rodgers not being ready, and sitting a lot of the spoken for starters. But this is my issue with that. Yes, joint practices are as close as you can get to a game simulation, but they're also not a game simulation. These quarterbacks can't get hit, and that's something which, listen, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, but that's something that has to happen. It has to happen. If Rodgers is 40 years old, he's coming off the Achilles. He hasn't been hit now in a while. Like, let's be real. He didn't get hit last year, like, at all. The Achilles thing was kind of just a fault. So it's going to be going on like 2 years since the guy has faced real NFL contact. That's just the facts. Okay. And if we're worried about him being too frail to take a hit in the preseason, what is going to happen during the regular season? Now, I may be just going crazy conspiracy mode, whatever. That's completely fine. But having played the game not nearly at their level, I won't even try to pretend that. But having played the game with the college, I'm just like thinking in my head, why wouldn't you want these guys to be ready for that type of physicality? Some of the other players you have to worry about less with because they're always facing that type of thing. Like, I'm talking offensive line, defensive line, even the linebackers, running backs. That doesn't matter nearly as much to me. But it's interesting because those are the guys that continue to see, they'll continue to see playing time in these preseason games. But the players that we want to see, that we need to see, kind of take these hits, kind of, prove that they're ready in a game atmosphere is the quarterback. The quarterback, I want to see some more out of the wide receivers. I definitely want to see some more out of the defensive backs. And I would really love to see them at least play one drive. All I'm saying is one drive. Just let them get in the field, because as much as you try to simulate a real game in training camp, and I know preseason isn't real, there's still fans in the stadium. Snoopy Bowl is probably one of the few preseason games where that it'll have more fans than usual because both teams play in MetLife. It's a great environment to kind of get these players acclimated to what they're going to expect in the regular season. And the Giants, might not be good either. The Jets might not even be good. But it's something that has to happen. Why are we acting like Aaron Rodgers is some fragile quarterback? And why are the Jets acting like they're too good to play their starters in the preseason? What have the Jets won in the past 10 years? What have the Jets won in the last 50 years? Let's just be real here. What have they won? They've come close. They haven't won anything. They have the one Super Bowl, and then they got close a few times, which is great. Like, I love that. I love that the Jets can get, but what have they done recently? In the past 10 years, they have the longest playoff drought in the NFL right now. Do you think that your culture, this is one of my problems with Robert Saleh, is do you think this culture is like, you stick your nose up at people, that you think you're better than people? What have you won? You've been on the coattails of other people. This is your show now, and you have proven to be a person who doesn't seem like they're capable of being in charge of an entire football team. You can be a great coordinator, that's one thing, but to be a head coach, you have to be a lot more than that. All right, and I think that, I know maybe I'm going off the rails a little bit too much, but at the same time, like, what are we doing? What, like, the Jets have to, like, we have stuff to prove. It's not like we're in this position where we don't have anything to prove to anybody. We've been here before. No, we haven't. We just haven't. We haven't been to the playoffs in over 10 years, man. Like, that's just that's the facts of the matter. And so until we do, we have no reason not to play some of these guys. Like, if you think injuries are going to happen in a quick little preseason game, that injury would have happened sometime through the regular season, sometime through training camp. It's all the same. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How many times have we seen minute restrictions and people taking time off in the NBA just for those same players to still be hurt after the fact? Okay, these rest days help sometimes. You never want to overexert, but at the same time, you don't want to underexert either. There's both problems each. It's about finding a happy median. And I know that Rodgers has said this is one of the toughest training camps that he's had in his career, blah, blah, blah. But let's put that into perspective. He's 40. He's an older man. He's an older man now. Like, in terms of NFL status and NFL players, he is geriatric in terms of NFL players. Let's be real. How many players are playing until their age 40 season? Not many. Okay. So that I take that into more of him just being older than anything. Because it doesn't seem, from the stuff that we've seen in camp, it doesn't look like they're doing anything overly dramatic in terms of working out, etc. And plus, we got to remember he's still recovering from the Achilles. So if you put 2 and 2 together and you just kind of think about this for a little bit, like, you start questioning some stuff in your head, at least I am. And it's not even like, the Jets. If the Jets play great, that's amazing. I really do want the Jets to play great. That's the whole point. That, hey, I'm a Jets fan. That's why I'm wearing the hat. That's why you see all the stuff back here is Jets related. But at the same time, I want to make sure that they're prepared to win. And I don't think being behind, whether it's a quarter, whether it's 3 quarters, to play catch up, especially against a team like the first game's against San Francisco. Do you think you'll have time to play catch up against San Francisco? Are you kidding me? Come on. On top of that, it's a familiarity between Shanahan and Robert Saleh. So based on coaching, I give the hand to Shanahan, and it's up to Saleh to adjust, and he has issues adjusting. Okay, so if that's the case, we can almost mark this game off as an L if the team doesn't really want to have their players prepared. To be honest, I am not okay with being behind. At least, and it's one thing if we're playing like the Patriots right now, or a team that we know is not going to be good. But the San Francisco 49ers were just in the Super Bowl. They were just in the Super Bowl. Then we're going to act like we're too good to play. Like, listen, Patrick Mahomes won the Super. He's in the preseason. He's playing in the preseason. You have these guys playing in the preseason. What are the Jets doing? The Jets are sitting their guys saying, yes, we're fine. It reminds me of something from the old Chicago Bulls days, post Michael Jordan, Gar Paxdorf, Jim Paxson, all those guys where they were like, we're fine with our guys. We're not going to do anything else. And look, they won nothing. They won absolutely nothing. They had a lot of pieces, came close, and then they threw it all away because of their own hubris. All right. And I think that's where we're getting close to with Robert Saleh and the New York Jets. If they don't start acting like they haven't been there, then they're going to have they're going to really have a reality and wake up call sometime during this season, because they have to act hungry, and not just hungry. They have to act like they haven't been there before, because let's face it, most of them haven't. All right. And I know I'm ranting, so I apologize for that. I may be acting a little over the top. But this is an important season because, hey, man, what happens if we do bad and then Rodgers doesn't come back, or, we do poorly? Rodgers might not even be here. Even if we do well, Rodgers might not be here. But if we do poorly and he's gone, what are the answers for the Jets after that? And right now, the Jets don't have any. The biggest answer right now is Jordan Travis, who I loved in college out of Florida State. But he's in a redshirt year. He's not even practicing. So are we going with Martinez? Are we drafting a quarterback? Then it leads into a whole other bag of worms where I don't know if the people in place right now can develop that type of talent, because we've seen them have an inability to not only develop that talent, but see the talent that's been in front of them, at least on the offensive side of the ball. And that should be a concern for Jet fans. Whether that reality wants to hit them or not, we'll soon find out. But hey, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, because I do think the Jets will do good. So maybe I hope I'm being just overly dramatic just for the sake of, and my concerns, are just concerns, and maybe they do play the players for a series or two, a rep or two in the preseason. That'd be fantastic. But until we get some definitive answers, I will always have my concerns with the Jets until they prove it themselves. And with that, this is Tommy Jets, aka Thomas Christopher. And this is the Jets Pulse for Inner City Jets, baby. Make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing to the YouTube channel, where we'll have great and other New York Jets content coming up. Thank you again.